Good morning. I have the great pleasure to start today with the first two of our four scholars that are going to speak today. It's a big day for them, so no doubt you'll give them a warm Nuffield welcome. We have Brendan Crosse of Sheep Milk Ireland in Tipperary, and he's going to discuss about the feasibility in establishing a large-scale sheep milk industry in Ireland. Following him, we will have Alex Evers of Foxbrook Free Range Eggs in County Meath, and he's going to look at and give you a picture of the Irish egg industry and address look at its challenges to adapting market demands and changes. So first we'll have Brendan, and then once the two of them have presented, we'll have a quick chat and then open up to some questions and answers. Thank you.
Thank you. So, hello. My name is Brendan Crosse, 2021 Nuffield Scholar, and I'm here to talk to you about my project, which is a project to create alternative primary agri-food industries in Ireland, the feasibility of establishing a large-scale sheep milk industry through cooperatives and collaborations. So, a bit of context on my business. I run a business in Cashel, County Tipperary called Sheep Milk Ireland. I set this up with my brother in 2017 with the support of my parents, Margaret and John in the room there somewhere. We're running a large flock of ewes, and I suppose our mission from the outset was, large sheep milk industries across the world, loads of sheep in Ireland. Surely there's a need for this or a market for this coming out of here. So here's some of the, products and projects we're involved in. Cashel Farmhouse Cheesemakers would be where the majority of our milk would have went in the early few years, also supplying Cratloe Hills. In the last few years, we've involved in a milk powder project going to the Asian market, and we're currently developing a skincare product, Bon Or, with bringing the benefits of sheep milk into the skincare. Next slide. And I suppose I just want to take this opportunity to thank Nuffield Ireland and the sponsors for giving me, the platform and the opportunity to study a topic that I'm very passionate about, and particularly the Golden Jubilee Trust, who are my main sponsor. So, I suppose when you look at the landscape of Irish farming, there's about 24% profitability of beef and sheep farmers are viable. 24% of beef and sheep farms are viable in this country. Not a great statistic, but ultimately there's no real easy alternative for these farmers. I know Ray might say plant the whole lot of it, but that's maybe not an option. There's a strong income potential for obviously out of cow dairy, but we're now approaching, potentially natural limits for this system in the country, and also with smaller landowners, it's maybe not possible to get into this system. But ultimately Ireland has a fundamental advantage of growing grass, and any alternatives are probably going to be based around this, whether for biomass production or, of course, livestock. So apart from cow dairy, what else can we leverage here out of Ireland? There's 100,000 professional, competent, but largely unprofitable sheep and beef farmers. There's 2.7 million sheep. We're the fourth largest exporter of sheep meat in the world, and we have one of the highest densities of sheep across the world. We've world-class grass-based farming systems, and then huge levels of investment and infrastructure for dairy processing, and a great reputation for exporting high-value, sustainable, safe dairy products. And I suppose between you and me, feel there's an opportunity to combine both our sheep sector and our dairy sector to build a whole new industry here in Ireland. So, a bit of an introduction to sheep milk. If you ask a typical Irish person, they probably don't even know that you can milk a sheep. So, I suppose a bit of context. Global milk production is about 830 billion litres. Sheep milk production is about 10.5 billion. And in comparison then to organic cow, it's substantially bigger. And it's even bigger than, than Ireland's contribution to the global milk pool. So it is a significant player, although not in this country. And in terms of the nutritional qualities of sheep milk, it's 50% higher in milk solids. So it's a very rich, creamy milk. 50% higher in protein, 50% higher in fat, 70% higher in calcium. And then very uniquely, the digestion qualities of sheep milk are, very significant. So it has an A2 protein, it's easier to digest, and I suppose it's also kind of a naturally homogenized milk, so the fats don't separate. They're more of a small, medium chain fatty acid. And when you talk about sheep milk, the story of sheep milk is really about cheeses. So Roquefort cheese coming out of France, Manchego out of Spain, Pecorino out of Italy, Feta out of Greece, Halloumi out of Cyprus. And these are flagship products all for carrying these industries. And I suppose of the sheep milk production, about 45% of it comes from the Mediterranean basin. Again, those countries I discussed and into around the likes of Israel, Syria, Turkey, huge sheep milk production. So naturally enough, I went to visit these regions during my Nuffield study. And what I found is a very mature, well-developed industry. You're going to meet very intensive farmers with the highest of tech, rotaries, milk recordings, feeding belts, just real intensive systems. However, the industry is facing significant challenges. Drought is having a massive effect on the milk pool down there, alongside rising input costs. Alongside that, then, a huge part of the milk pool is made up of traditional farmers who are hand milking the sheep up in mountainous regions, often moving them across landscapes. Like this, with this making up like a significant part of the milk pool, all this is becoming under threat because ultimately there's no successor for these farming enterprises. And the industries are, as I said, characterized by their reliance on one product. So the Pecorino, no worries, about 50% of the Pecorino goes to the US market. And then in 2019, with Trump tariffs, the price of Pecorino went up a lot in the US market, which ultimately crashed the demand and then the price. And then they had the COVID pandemic, which again, the nature of specialty cheeses is going into the likes of food service and these areas. So again, demand came under pressure. And now they're into an era of high costs and all this, which is really, I suppose, putting major pressure on the industries. But demand does remain strong for these milks, like feta, halloumi. All these products are, they're in a very strong position, and the milk price is skyrocketing. They're talking about, going from €1 to maybe 1.80 in Greece at the moment, a litre. But supply is just dropping. This is just some articles that you'll see in the paper from these countries. So we're talking about the number of sheep milk farmers in Spain going from 3,277 down to 2,956, reduction of 10%, which is fairly dramatic in a year. In Greece, talking about a reduction of from 680,000 tons to 500,000 tons. It's, I suppose, an industry that's under just significant structural challenges where it's hard to see how supply can really bounce back. And another perspective on the sheep milk industry is the activities in New Zealand. So they've realized an opportunity back in 2015 to start getting into sheep milk. They've taken an angle where they're supplying taking the unique nutritional and digestive qualities of sheep milk and putting into milk powder products, nutritional formulas, and delivering them to the Asian market. They've done this, successfully over the last few years with the likes of the A2 milk industry, goat milk, organic milk, and now they see sheep milk, I suppose, as their next billion-dollar industry. And from, I suppose, an Irish context, this gives us a lot of confidence because they've done an awful lot of research in the sustainability of the systems and also the productivity of the systems, and obviously working with the dairy breeds and bringing them into a grass-based system. In fairness to the New Zealand primary agricultural sector, they have proven over the last 30 years about diversifying their primary land uses. So like there's 700,000 farm deer in New Zealand. Back in 1985, there was no wine industry. Now it's up to 1.4 billion in exports. There was a small kiwi fruit industry, and now it's over $1 billion. And I suppose, these new industries can appear if there's, I suppose, a lot of, coordination, work and support and focus put into them. And just want to say also that a Nuffield scholar, Lucy Griffiths, played an important role. She did a Nuffield topic back in 2014 on sheep milk for New Zealand, and I think it played an important role in developing the conversation at that time. And here's some of the research coming out of New Zealand. So they're comparing numerous different dairy sheep systems to their Waikato dairy system, cow dairy system, and on various hybrid models, intensive models, grass-based models, sheep milk is coming up on a per hectare basis, significantly more sustainable than cow dairy. Their economic model that they're kind of developing now, which is with a milk price similar to what's been in Europe at the moment, 600 sheep on 40 hectares, about 1 to 1.5 labour units. They're looking at a cash surplus of 2,600 euros per hectare with labour paid. So I think, and this is again around grass-based production. I think a real indication that, we can do something, unique here in Ireland. So again, a unique opportunity to scale an Irish sheep milk industry. So, but look, grass-fed sheep milk production is very rare. All the dairy genetics are designed for Mediterranean climate, and the high-yielding ones are generally in an indoor model. So there's a work there to be done on that. It can be labour efficient. I know sheep can give the perception of being hardship, but with good technology, good setup, and a simple system, it can be a one person show. And one of the, I suppose, lessons that we've also learned both in my own business and through my research is that we should be looking to adopt the French model from the outset, which is where the ewe rears the lamb for a month and maybe milk once a day throughout that period to maintain milk yields, and then take the lamb off after 30 days and then milk the ewe for the next 6 months. What this does is reduces labour around your important times at lambing, and also then you're building a more diverse income stream. So maybe typically the French model is about 30% income from your lamb, 70% from your milk. And also, unlike, we'll say, the Italian sheep milk sector, which is reliant on pecorino for its exports, we should be, looking to develop, cheeses, but also, take lessons from the New Zealanders and milk powders, and then again going into different multiple markets to build a bit of resilience into your industry. One, strong point is that the markets for sheep's cheese is where Irish dairy is typically very strong. So the likes of Germany is buying significant amount of feta. A lot of the hard cheeses like pecorino, manchego are going into the US market, and the UK is buying huge quantities of feta, and the likes of halloumi particularly as well. And then in terms of the structure of the industry, there's no doubt, look, the Irish dairy industry does probably no better structured industry in the world. The cooperative movement has been an important role in that, and it would be great to try and pull a sheep milk industry together under one umbrella, package it, and bring it to export markets under in one group. Also, I suppose the challenges of the sheep milk sector are similar to the challenges faced by, we'll say, the attempts to grow the organic milk sector, or the A2 milk sector, or Jersey milk, or buffalo milk, or goat milk. That there is, what we're all trying to do is get to economies of scale to allow us export a product off this island, because ultimately the domestic market is very small for these speciality products. But once you enter export markets, you're into commodities, and you're in the world markets. You need to be competitive. So pushing through the early few years is ultimately the biggest challenge. Like I was saying there, creating vertically integrated industries has its challenge, and coordinating your building your supply and your sales and demand for your product, and making sure you don't oversupply to, I suppose, also to maintain value, because you don't want to have any disturbance of your milk price in the early few years. And the New Zealand approach has shown to how you can help to build primary agri industries. They have a program down there called Primary Grow Partnerships, which is basically, they establish a mission. Okay, let's establish a venison or deer industry. Let's establish a sheep milk industry. And you just take the whole value chain and put the necessary resources. I think a lot of it maybe in Ireland is more siloed approach, so various different departments and various different sectors, so like focusing on genetics or things like that, when ultimately all parts of the value chain need investment and they need to be coordinated to try and push through the barriers. And here's just a couple of, I suppose, notes to finish on. This is Stuart Gordon, is the CEO of an innovation park in New Zealand, and his perspective on the sheep milk industry is land use diversification, environmental benefits, value add, New Zealand products, world first products, innovation on farm, genetics, logistics, manufacturing, product innovation. Very exciting, 500 million in 7 years. There's no reason why, I suppose, this can't happen here in Ireland. If I was to say a target for an industry here, even based on the dropping demand that's happened in the last 12 months of the sheep milk pool, you could easily say 100 to 120,000 sheep with 200 farmers with 30 to 40 million litres over the next 7 to 10 years. This would still only represent maybe 2 or 3% of the national flock, but it would add a considerable value to I suppose, rural Ireland. And just as a historic note, Imbolc, or St. Bridget's Day, is a traditional festival here in Ireland held on the 1st of February. That word came from sheep's milk, because they celebrated the arrival of sheep's milk in the spring after the challenges throughout the winter for the sustenance that it gave the Irish people at that time. I think there's a great opportunity for sheep milk to play an important role again in Ireland's future. So thanks very much.